Thousands continue to flee Karamoja as famine and insecurity have convulsed the region at the tip of northeastern Uganda. Despite the abundance of minerals in the bowels of its earth, Karamoja remains afflicted by the paradox of plenty. The region today is a place of disease, pestilence, and death. During the summer, the grounds crack as streams and rivers which were once a trickle dry up. Leaves and plants wither as the punishing heat sweeps across the windswept pockets of Karamoja. Starving locals feed on seeds and leaves to escape hunger. Today, as thousands of its children line Kampala's crowded streets with begging bowls, there is widespread exploitation of Karamoja's mineral wealth as large chunks have been parceled out to both foreign and local investors, leaving a trail of environmental destruction. A recent cattle rustling insurgency has displaced thousands. Relative peace is returning as the army attempts to tackle livestock banditry, egged on by the proliferation of light arms across porous border points. 2021, Parliament passed 39 billion shillings as a supplementary vote to purchase relief items meant for the Karamoja region to facilitate those who are engaging in rustling and to alleviate the poverty-stricken communities. However, during a recent sting operation by officers of the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, the mother, brother and nephew of the Karamoja Affairs Minister, Goreti Chitutu, were found selling opium-branded iron sheets to residents of Namisindra district. They were briefly detained and later freed. As more evidence continues to emerge, Karamoja members of parliament submitted to the offices of the Speaker and the Clerk to Parliament a notice of motion to censure Kitutu as provided for under Rule 109 of the Parliamentary Rules of Procedure. According to the notice, Kitutu is accused of failure to deliver iron sheets and other supplies meant for Karamoja to support the ongoing disarmament exercise and the diversion of some items. These, the MPs say, constitute the offence of mismanagement and abuse of office or willful violation of the oath of allegiance or oath of office, which are grounds provided in Article 118 of the Constitution under which a minister may be removed from office.
That the items that had been procured to support the disarmament exercise in Karamoja, among others iron sheets and goods, have been grossly mismanaged in the Ministry of Karamoja Affairs.
The MPs further accused the minister of misusing 25 billion shillings meant for the procurement of goats to be distributed across the region, as well as picking 500 bags of maize seeds from Namalu prison stores under the Feed Karamoja project, 200 bags of which were allegedly found in her house. Whereas the iron sheet theft appears to be the archetypal boardroom graft that has chronically afflicted the office of the Prime Minister, involving top technocrats, there is another procurement which requires an inquiry. Auditors from the office of the Prime Minister are traversing Karamoja, where they are probing the supply of goods to households, which was allocated an astronomical 25 billion shillings and commenced in September 2022 in Kotido.
We received a supplementary budget of 39.9 billion Uganda shillings for that exercise. And we agreed at a package which has to be given to each Karakuna that each should get 16 goats, whereby 15 are female and 1 male, and then 26 iron sheets, of which 22 will be for the house and 4 for the pit latrine.
NTV visited Kotido district, where about 13,000 goats have already been distributed and another 5,000 are yet to be procured and distributed. But there are fears that those involved in the procurement are relatives or powerful individuals at the office of the Prime Minister. Some of the goats which were procured from Teso were not vaccinated and have died. David Amoding, a community development officer in Kotido, is amongst those who has been monitoring the distribution.
After the goods were distributed and given to the farmers, Some other goats were dying a day after receiving what? These goats here. But as the farmers were struggling, as the veterinary officers at the sub-county level, at the district level, were treating some of them, others were dying at the quarantine. But these goats kept on dying even in the hands of the farmers, even in the hands of the veterinary officer in the district, giving us a reflection that those goats that were brought from Teso region already came with the PPR. They were already sick, and they were just struggling to manage them and distributing at the same time.
I personally observed that the goats that were brought were sick. They were not vaccinated. I have personally witnessed where goats were delivered here in the evening, and the next day in the morning, they are being distributed to beneficiaries. Therefore, many of them died and also affected the local goats.
I received 11 goats, 10 local goats, and 1 improved gala. But out of these 10 local goats, 10 of them died of PPR disease, and 1 gala alone survived.
Petits ruminants (PPR) is an acute, highly contagious transboundary viral disease of sheep and goats associated with high morbidity and mortality. Clinically, the disease resembles rinderpest (RP) in cattle and is characterized by high fever, conjunctivitis, and oculonasal discharges, amongst others. The other goats that were supplied include the Boer, a South African breed of meat goat. It was selectively bred in the Eastern Cape from about 1920 for meat qualities and for the ability to survive grazing on the thorn veldt of that region. But most of the Boer goats could not escape the terrain in Karamoja. However, a few of the Gala goats from Kenya continue to survive the rough terrain. Was the procurement subjected to the requirements under the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Guidelines, and was the local community consulted? The J County MP, Peter Abrahams-Loki, says part of the goats were meant to be purchased from Karamoja to support the local economy. He says that when the purchase commenced, the goats were supposed to be transferred to holding grounds so they could be monitored by veterinary doctors. But this was not complied with.
Normally, when we do restocking programs, we have what they call holding grounds, where animals that are bought are brought and are kept for a while to be observed by the veterinarians, to make sure that they are healthy, to make sure that they are able to cope with the weather, and then to make sure that if they are sick, they are given treatment. Even if they are not sick, they are vaccinated, so that when the beneficiary is given, animals that are healthy are given to the beneficiaries. Unfortunately, in the case of the goats, this has not happened.
He also claims that the supply chain is opaque and the verification exercise has not been conducted.
We have also not known who the suppliers are, because then we would have been able to petition the suppliers to say what you have delivered is not good. We expect even the district veterinary officer to have been the one to write an objection to say you have delivered goats that are sick. But they just basically, I think, have been involved in signing certificates to acknowledge. Maybe because the powers that be were the ones that are directing them on what should be done. So a situation where a supplier is not known, the goods supplied are not of quality, what do you do? And I think this is the challenge that the Karamojong ordinary person is facing. The issue of the contractors needs to be brought out clearly so that the beneficiaries that got sick animals petition the process so that the person can make good, because every contract has a contract liability period. There is a money that is retained for you to make good what has not been done correctly, where there are defects. So in this case, sick animals means defects. Therefore, contract liability period should be able to provide an alternative to put right the loss that has been incurred because of supply of bad materials.
He says the goat project is a spectacular failure and a waste of taxpayer resources.
Because I'm sure if you move around, you might hardly find even one that is still alive. So if you are delivering 15,000 goats in a district and you cannot find one, what would you call such a project? It's a zero impact. And therefore, you need to go back to the drawing board. Now, this is taxpayers' money wasted. Because it has not reached where it should have reached. And it has not changed what was supposed to change.
The MP is imploring government to give these roles to the locals and spoke out against a conspiracy that is raiding on the web of insecurity to impoverish Karamoja. The Kotido Municipality MP, Ismail Muhammad Lomwa, says the goat deal is a scam that was facilitated by inflated prices.
The cost of the goats were too high. According to what they told us, goats were costing 500,000. A local goat in Karamoja to cost 500,000. I want you to go to the inner market so that you can do market survey.
A local goat here it ranges from 80, a female, from 80 to 150. A male is now between 170 to 250.
The Lawmakers says the most urgent need was to provide food supplies to rescue starving communities.
There was a high anger situation in Karamoja where they requested the government from the 135 billion to first supply food so that people can survive. By the time you are taking the goats, it becomes a sustainability strategy where the people can keep the goats and also fight malnutrition within the households through the animal products that they have been supplied. But all of that, the Ministry of Karamoja Affairs never listened to the Karamojans and also to their leaders.
According to me, it would have been better to first leave the situation to calm, then the goats to be distributed. And even the idea of actually if the local goats, maybe these ones within the district of Napak, the ones of Moroto, the ones of Teso, at least those ones, if those ones were to be given, would have survived.
Some sub-counties in Kotido are yet to receive the goats as they desperately cling on hope.
Out of 13,956, it is only Kacheri sub-county that has not yet received the goats. Kacheri town council around 3 parishes. The 3 divisions of the municipality have not received the 1010. Kotido sub-county, Loketalebu town council, have not received the improved goats. Female improved goats, the 5-5. So when you look at the mathematics of the 5,004 goats, among the local goats and the female improved goats that we have not yet received from the suppliers under OPM.
And nobody is explaining to us when they will receive what has not been received. Although money has been spent 1 year down the road, I don't think the 39 billion is there. So if it is not there, where are the goats?
Therefore, the 39 billion did not hit the target of poverty elevation in Karamoja. I want you to move around Karamoja. Those goats, you cannot get them. Most of them died, infected even the other local goats which were there. So it was just a scam.
Karamoja is Uganda's poorest region with income poverty at 66% and food poverty at 75%. With a largely rural population, livelihoods are based on livestock and crop production. Recent diversified livelihood activities include mining, stone quarrying, and the sale of natural resource products. Due to inadequate food access, poor dietary diversity, structural poverty, low-value livelihood options, poor hygiene, and sanitation and morbidity, the region has Uganda's highest food insecurity and malnutrition levels. In March 2021, government commenced an airborne geological and geosurvey mapping of Karamoja at a cost of 86 billion shillings. With large swathes under the threat of violence and rustling, it is not clear when the assignment will be accomplished. A 2011 survey found that the region contains more than 50 minerals, including gold, limestone, uranium, marble, graphite, gypsum, iron, wolfram, nickel, copper, cobalt, lithium, and tin. However, for every ton of mineral that leaves the area in large trucks, critics say the equivalent is a life of misery and ruin.